Imagine a scenario that has haunted military planners and strategists for decades. A direct, large-scale U.S. strike on Iran. This isn't a simple operation. It's a complex, multi-layered campaign targeting one of the most formidable military powers in the Middle East. What would the first 72 hours of such a conflict actually look like? Let's break down how an American air and sea assault on Iran would likely unfold step by step. The operation wouldn't start with a bang, but with whispers in the digital world. Hours, maybe even days before the first missile flies, U.S. Cyber Command would launch a massive offensive. Their goal, to blind and deafen the Iranian military. This cyber assault would target Iran's integrated air defense network, command and control systems, and communication lines. They'd aim to inject malware, disrupt radar systems, and sever the links between commanders and their units on the ground. The objective is to create chaos and confusion, making it incredibly difficult for Iran to mount a coordinated defense when the physical attack begins. At the same time, satellites and high-altitude surveillance drones like the RQ for Global Hawk would be working overtime, gathering last-minute intelligence and confirming target locations. Then, the kinetic phase begins, likely under the cover of darkness. The first wave wouldn't be fighter jets, but stealth aircraft and long-range missiles. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, flying directly from bases like Whiteman in Missouri or forward locations like Diego Garcia, would penetrate deep into Iranian airspace, completely unseen by radar. Their targets are the crown jewels of Iran's military and strategic infrastructure. Known nuclear facilities at sites like Natanz and Fordo, ballistic missile launch sites, and key command bunkers. Simultaneously, U.S. Navy warships and submarines in the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Sea would launch hundreds of Tomahawk cruise missiles. These low-flying, precision-guided weapons would follow the terrain to evade detection, striking air defense batteries, naval bases, and the headquarters of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The goal of this initial shock and awe phase is decapitation and paralysis. Take out the leadership, neutralize the nuclear threat, and dismantle the air defenses before Iran even knows what's happening. With the initial pathways cleared, the second wave roars in. This is where air dominance fighters like the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning to come into play. The F-22s would establish air superiority, hunting for any Iranian fighter jets that manage to get airborne. Their advanced stealth and sensor capabilities would give them a massive advantage over Iran's older fleet of F-14s, MiG-29s, and F-4 Phantoms. Meanwhile, F-35s would use their own stealth and sophisticated electronic warfare suites to hunt down and destroy any surviving surface-to-air missile sites, or SAMs. This is a critical and dangerous job, known as suppression of enemy air defenses, or SEA. They would be supported by specialized aircraft like the EA-18G Growler, which jams enemy radar and communications, further blinding the Iranian forces. As the first 24 hours conclude, the tempo of the attack would only increase. Now, with air superiority largely established, the non-stealthy but heavy-hitting conventional forces join the fray. F-15E Strike Eagles and F-A-18 Super Hornets, launching from aircraft carriers in the Gulf and regional air bases, would begin a relentless campaign against a wider set of targets. This includes military barracks, ammunition depots, naval facilities along Iran's coast, and key economic targets like oil refineries to cripple Iran's ability to fund its war effort. This phase is about systematically dismantling Iran's military machine, piece by piece. The sheer volume of sorties would be overwhelming, designed to break the will of the Iranian military to continue fighting. Entering the second day, the focus would expand. While airstrikes continue, attention turns to Iran's naval power, especially its asymmetric threat in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran possesses a large fleet of small, fast-attack craft and mini-submarines, designed to swarm larger warships and lay mines to disrupt global oil shipping. U.S. Navy destroyers, Helicopters and maritime patrol aircraft like the PA Poseidon would actively hunt these threats. Special operations forces might also be deployed too secretly. Neutralize coastal missile batteries and radar stations that threaten shipping. The objective is to keep this vital waterway open and prevent Iran from using its most effective leverage against the global economy. This maritime battle would be a tense, high-stakes game of cat and mouse in the confined waters of the Persian Gulf. By the 72-hour mark, the initial objectives of the campaign would be assessed. U.S. forces would have likely inflicted devastating damage on Iran's nuclear program, air defenses, and conventional military capabilities. However, this is far from the end of the story. Iran would not be a passive victim. Even with its command structure in disarray, it would retaliate. We could expect ballistic missile attacks from surviving mobile launchers targeting U.S. bases in places like Qatar, the UAE, and Bahrain, as well as attacks on key allies like Saudi Arabia and Israel. Iran would also activate its network of proxy forces across the region, groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and militias in Iraq and Syria, to launch attacks on U.S. and allied interests, opening up multiple new fronts and dramatically escalating the conflict. A strike on Iran is not a clean surgical event. It would be the start of a brutal, widespread, and unpredictable regional war with global consequences. This hypothetical scenario illustrates the immense power and complexity of modern warfare. The first 72 hours would be a carefully orchestrated symphony of destruction, combining cyber warfare, stealth technology, and overwhelming firepower. But it would also unleash a cascade of retaliation and instability that could reshape the Middle East for decades. Understanding these potential dynamics is crucial as we navigate a world where such a conflict remains a chilling possibility. Thanks for watching. If you found this analysis interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into military and geopolitical strategy. See you in the next video.